I was able to help families out purchase like houses of like more than $500,000 for $19.03.
I was about to say, how is that possible?
You will say, how is that possible, right? So last year I was able to help out more than 60 families.
And $19.13.
I put $0, nothing at all. I even walked out from the table with a $25,000 check.
You walked out with a check. Welcome back to another episode of My First Mission. My name's Liam, and we are here at the 2025 RAS Media Rookie of the Year Award. I have the pleasure of sitting down with the winner of the national award. And in his first year in real estate, he closed around 50 transactions and over $21 million in his first year. Now, Walter, what I want to do is talk about how you got into real estate. How have you started your journey?
Okay, and first of all, I want to say thank you for actually inviting me to here. It's actually an honor and a pleasure for me to be in here. So I really appreciate all the invitations and also all the work that you have done in order to get this set up, right? Just to talk a little bit about me, I'm from Honduras. I came here when I was younger. And then I got into real estate because my father-in-law, he's a broker. So I'm actually affiliated to my father-in-law. His broker is JNC Real Estate Solution. We are a small local firm in Sterling, Virginia. So then I started because I started buying properties with my wife. We have actually been able to purchase 7 homes. And I started doing it that like 7 years ago. So I got into real estate because I was already doing it. So it was easier for me to just transition. But to tell you a little bit about my story, it's like almost 2 years ago, my friend, we were just working. I'm a licensed electrician. I have my electrical company and I work for the union. And then he was like, Walter, look, I've been trying to get my house, but I've been going to this real estate agent, and then he keeps telling me the same thing. Like, you shouldn't buy it right now. The market's gonna crash. The houses are too expensive. So he kept telling me this, and then he used to call him when we were in the break, right? And then he's like, why don't you help me? So I'm like, hey Mario, and I want to say thank you Mario for everything that he has done for me, because he actually was the one person that pushed me to it, right? And then he's like, why don't you help me? So I was like, but I don't got my license. I can actually refer you to my father-in-law that he was the one that helped me. And he's like, no, 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 no. I want you to help me. And I'm like, okay, but I have to get my license. I'm like, don't worry, I'll wait for you. So then we still started getting him pre-approved and everything. And we got to the point that it was almost just time to submit a contract. And he's like, hey, man, like, I need the house. So I'm like, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it. And he's like, okay, I want you to do it right now. So then I got signed up. I did it online, right? It's like for you guys that actually looking into getting your real estate license, it's not a hard process to do, but you have to commit to it. And then there's a lot of tools like you guys have, right? Which is like online classes, or you can do like a pressing class where you can go in person to do it. For me, it was easier because at the time, being an electrician, doing 12 hours a day, so it's hard for me to go in person to do the classes, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put my mind into it, and my wife would tell you this. I'm the type of guy that whenever it gets into something, I don't finish it until it's done. So I want to learn, and that's how I actually learn a lot of the stuff, because I start asking questions. So then I got into doing my classes. I was able to complete all my hours in like 3 days. So that phone was on, and day and night. I would just wake up and then make sure it was on. But you would say, but how did you learn the stuff? Well, a lot of the stuff that I learned, I had already known by buying properties, right? So then I was able to get my completions in 3 days. That I started on Monday. I finished my classes on Wednesday. By Thursday, I was calling the school. Hey, did you send my certificate? I need to schedule my test. So then they were like, yeah, it's already done. So on that Thursday, I scheduled my test to go on Friday, which was the next day. So you're probably like, man, Walter, like you needed to get ready. And it's like, no, I was just trying to see. I'm like, okay, let's wing it, right? Let's just do it. So then I went to take the test, and there's 2 tests that you actually gotta pass, which is the state, and then also you gotta pass the national, right? I don't remember which one I failed, but I know I failed one, okay? And I failed it by 1 point, by one question. So I was actually happy that I passed my first one. And I'm like, man, I just came here to try. So and I passed my first license. I mean, my first test, and then I wanted to reschedule it again. So then I'm like, okay, let me reschedule it right now. But just so that you guys know, like whenever you fail, you gotta wait 1 day in order to reschedule. So then I had to wait that Saturday, that Friday, and then I went and scheduled it again on Saturday, and then I took it on Sunday. So you can take the test even on Sunday for people that say, no, like I don't got time. No, you do have time. You just got to make time for it. So, and if you want something, you'll make the time for it. So then I scheduled it for Sunday. I went and I took the test and I passed. And guess what? Mario was already waiting for me to get to be able to help him purchase the house. So then as soon as I got my license, 7 days after I got my first closing, and then Mario is still a great guy. Every person will be like, hey, Walter just helped me get my house. He can also get you help. He can also help you to get your house. So then he was the one actually doing the promoting and stuff, and I was able to help like 2 or 3 people to get their house, and that's how I got started.
Wow. So everyone needs a friend like Mario by the sound of it, your biggest cheerleader.
Yeah.
So you got your license, you passed your test on the Sunday.
Yeah.
Within 7 days,
Yeah.
you get your first deal signed
Yeah.
and completed. How did that feel getting that first commission check, handing the keys over to Mario and being like, I helped you go from not owning a home to owning a home and you helped me get my license?
Oh, for me, it's like, hey man, it's vacation time. It's like whenever you get that, because it's a pretty big check. Like, so then for me, it was like, babe, where are we going? I told my wife, hey, I just got my first check. This is a lot of money, even working as an electrician, which it pays really good. I have never seen a big check like that, right? So, but it wasn't only about the money, like you say. It was more about helping that person to be able to purchase a house. So then, and I was like, and I'm happy because now Mario has his house, and I see the value of the property just going up and up and up, and a lot of the times, I guess we get what would I say we get wrapped up in just a day and night, but we don't stop to think that how many life are we actually changing. So, and I know that I was the one part that actually changed Mario's life, because he was like, man, like I'm actually tired of keep paying rent. I want to own my own place, and that's what we did for him. Help him purchase a house, and from that point, I just been helping more and more family.
That's really important. I think what you talk about helping, like step back. We're actually helping people build
Yeah.
wealth, right? Before we go into that, how long was it before you gave up being an electrician and you went full time into real estate? Was it that first week you're like, I'm done, I'm doubling down?
Not really. I was actually doing a lot of hours still, and also helping out families. So I would say that I stayed being an electrician around like six months before actually transition to being a full time real estate agent. And I'm gonna tell you this just so that everybody that's thinking about becoming a full time real estate agent, you have to understand that this is a business. You can't just go like, hey, I'm gonna close it, and then there's months that you don't make any money at all. So if you don't save that money and then you just spending it, because I know a lot of people that get a lot of money, and as soon as they get the money, it's like they're flying to their country. They just blowing the money left and right. So, but for me, it was like as soon as I got my check, it's like, what can I invest it in? How can I invest that check that I just made into my own business? But I guess it will be because I already own companies, and I knew that in order for you to keep making money, you needed to invest money. So it got to the point, like I was telling you, that I did one client, the Mario, then I did my other friend, then I did my coworker, then I did like just coworkers, right? And it got to the point that I was in my fourth transition, and I'm like, who's next? Like where I'm going. Like, okay, who's next? Yeah, and I'll tell you this, and I tell everybody that see me, right, in my TikToks. I do a lot of TikToks. I do a lot of Facebook, Instagram, and I tell them, whenever you're starting a business, the people that you think that will support you the most, It's actually the people that don't.
Really?
So you will go and knock doors. So like let's say I would be like, hey, I just got my license. Would you buy a house with me? And be like, what do you mean? Like you were just an electrician like a month ago. Like no, of course I'm not gonna buy a house with you. So he just got to that point that he was like, how can I get my next client? Right? Because a lot of the times, like I say, the people that you trust the more is the people that will close the door in front of you.
So you're working as an electrician, long days, right? Manual labor, you're up on your feet all day. How did you kind of balance that with selling real estate and being a family man?
So, and apologies, my
No
apologies.
worries.
And you touch a good point right here. Like, how can you balance your life, right? And it's hard to balance it. And I gotta say, thanks to my wife. It wouldn't be possible to be here. It wouldn't be possible to be here without her help.
She
Let me
sounds she
just put it
sounds
like
she sounds amazing.
she is. So and I'm sorry that I get emotional and stuff, but it comes to the point that I didn't see myself being here, right? Like you say, before I was just an electrician. So how can you transition for being an electrician to being someone that actually changed people's lives? And that's the way that I see it, right?
The more we talk to real estate agents, right, that's the thing that kind of comes through is how am I helping families take that next step in their kind of journey, right? And one of the things that, again, I don't speak Spanish, so I got a little bit of help from the translation, but I believe in a lot of your bios on TikTok, Instagram, your website, you talk about your passionate for helping people get home ownership.
Yes.
How much of that is a driving force in your day to day?
So I tell everybody that come when talks to me, right? It, even even yesterday, I met with a client, right? And then she was like, Walter, but I don't want to be just another folder that you just put underneath. And I had to like tell her, you know what? For me, it's not just a folder. For me, it's a family. So and I'll say, I guess that's what has driven the most, because I don't see people as a transaction. I know a lot of you guys will do that. You just be like, okay, I just help this family and then move on to the next one. No, I build relationships. I have clients, they invite me to go to dinner with them. Just, hey, Walter, can you come over to my house to have a cookout? If you just help that family as a transition, you think they'll be calling you to, hey, come over? They wouldn't, you know? So then the stuff that I do is not just helping them to purchase a house, but it's actually making a relationship. I become like their friend. I become their family. I have people that I know that I purchased a house that if I'm in trouble, I would just call and I know they'll be there for me. Why? Because whenever they have something come up, they call me. A lot of people just call me. It's like, hey, Walter, how can I get my kid into school? Walter, how can I do this? Walter, how can I do that? That has nothing to do with being a real estate agent. But guess what? If I had the time, I still help them out. So it has nothing to do, and you will say, man, but you're not getting paid. But it's not about that. If you take good care of the people that you take care of, they'll take care back of you. And it comes back to those referrals, so
That's really key because we were talking before we started getting the cameras up, and you were talking that interestingly you've got your license in both Virginia and Maryland, and it's a really interesting story why you went and got licensed in the second state because another realtor wasn't kind of helping you out, right? Tell us about that story and what prompted you to get licensed in both states.
yeah, so just like you say, we were talking a little bit about that story. So I became an agent in Virginia first, because that's where my father-in-law has his broker license. And then a lot of the numbers that you see here, they're not really that correct, because I have also helped out more families that, because I didn't have my license, does not appear in there. So I'll say I'll probably refer like over 30 clients to like different agents because I didn't have my license. But at first, like, I was referring a lot of clients to this agent. And just for respect, I'm not gonna say names or anything. But it got to the point that I have already given her like 10 clients. And it came to that point that, in transactions, you might be offering what they asking for the price, but what dictate the price of the house is actually the appraisal, right? So there was one time that I refer this client, and when I refer a client, because I don't have a license, it doesn't mean like I refer it and then I just look somewhere else. No, it does not mean like that. And I told the person that I'm referring to, hey, I'll be there. I'll help you do the contract. I'll make sure that the contract that you're sending is actually like the contract that I'll be sending. So I need you to ask for this for my client. I need for you to ask for this and this. If you're on board, then I'll refer you the client. If you're not, then I don't want to work with you, right? So then I referred some clients. She was on board with it, and then I have given her 10 clients. And it come to the point that the appraisal came low. It came $1,000 low. So I was like, hey, we need to close this deal. He's closing like this Friday. That was on Monday. And then she's like, okay, yeah, the buyer can come up with us $1,000. I'm like, no, the buyer already told me that he doesn't have any more money. Like, we need to help out, right? And I'm like, okay, so then how can we help out? So then I'm like, hey, how about we split? You give them a $500 credit, and I give a $500 credit from my commission. And then she's like, no, you're not touching my commission. No, you're not touching my commission. So I'm like, you literally gonna go let this go to waste where we're gonna make more money than those $500? And not only that, but you're really throwing away the dream of somebody to purchase a house just because you're being so greedy that you want to make $500 more. And then she's like, yeah, I'm not touching my commission. So I told her, you know what? Take the $1,000 from me. I take the hit. So then she's like, okay, let's do it. We got it done. That was on Friday. I will tell you, by next Wednesday, I already have my license in Maryland. Guess how many clients I refer after that? None.
Zero, yeah.
For what? Just because you wanted to be greedy and get $500 more. So then a lot of the times, what I tell is like, do you want to make a little bit of money, or do you want to make no money at all? Of course, you gotta evaluate the situation. You gotta get to know that person, the buyer, and if it comes to that point, that sometimes you gotta cut, some of your commission in order to make somebody else's dream come true, you should do it.
Yeah, I think that really shows kind of your character, right? And how you're helping families. And one of the things that you said earlier on was, look at my numbers, right? They're ranging from 300,000 to 800,000, but you do a larger volume of transactions.
Correct.
Around 50 in your first year. Talk me through that as like a business model, right? Was that intentional, that kind of you went after kind of the bigger volume, lower transaction size, or was that just, hey, I'll help out whoever comes to me, whether it's a $300,000 house or a $2 million house, I'm just going to help whatever family's in front of me?
So I will say that, like you say, I will help out any family that's in front of me. And a lot of clients say, hey, Walter, this guy didn't want to help me out because I only qualified to a $200,000 house or 150,000. I have been able to help families out that I think the lowest they have done is like $150,000. If you think about it, like, I will say that I spend a lot of my time and more of my money in order to actually help that person more than I actually got paid. So, and I say, like, and I told this to the client yesterday, I don't help out families because of the money that they have or because of how much they're gonna be able to purchase. I'll help everybody. I don't put aside, okay, I'll help you more because you're gonna purchase $1 million house versus you that only gonna purchase a $200,000 house. No, I treat everybody the same, and it should be like that. You shouldn't be giving priority to somebody else. And I told them the only priorities that I give to my clients is people that come to me and be like, Walter, they throwing me out of my apartment. They throwing me out. My lease is ending. They say I have 14 days to move. I say less. We have been able to, and just for you to know, and a lot of clients and a lot of realtors didn't believe it, right? But one thing that I'll tell you, that when I first got started, I started looking for different loans, looking for different different banks that will provide what my clients were needing. Okay, so I work with more than 20 banks. I don't just work with one bank. I have every single client. I work with clients that only have tax ID. So a lot of the banks don't take that. I work with clients that only have permits. A lot of the clients don't take that. So guess what? I look at the need, and I look for somebody that was supplying that need, and then I'm the connection between. So then I started looking for different loans that will provide my clients the need that they had. And it got to the point, like I said, that we just started helping families. It wasn't intentionally that I looked for that amount. Like I say, I think that I have done like closest like smaller amounts, like $150,000, and I think the highest one I have done is like $800,000. And there's no different between the work that you do with 150 and the work that you do with 800,000. Not different at all. So, but the people that come and I say I need this urgently, I put that in a priority because they need to move. So then I look for a bank that we were able to close a transaction in 7 days. So from the moment that the client got to the table, they gave me the documents in the morning. I sent them out. We got them pre-approved. That afternoon, we went to look for a house. We sent the contract. We got it ratified. 7 days later, I gave the client the key. And whenever we sent out the contract saying in 7 days we're gonna close, guess what happened? As soon as I sent out, hey, we're closing in 7 days, the listing agent, hey, did you meant to put like 7 days closing? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, nah, that's not possible. It is possible. It's possible with the people I'm working, and it has to be possible because the client needs to move out. So then we did like that, and we have done like maybe close to like 10 to 15 clients like that, where they've been in a rush to move out, and we have been able to close deals in 7 days. I know that there's not a lot of people out there that will say that, but I can say that, because I have done it. And then whenever we will present it to the second person, like the second listing agent, nah, you haven't been done it. It's like, look, I have a text right here where here's the start of the conversation and here's the end of the conversation. So when I start negotiating, I like to send text. Hey, I have a client interested. You know, can you help me out? So then they respond, send the contract, right? And 7 days later, I'll be like, hey, look, it was great working with you, but why was I doing that? So I can keep it track. So whenever I did it again, and they will come out and say, hey, Walter, no, that's not possible. Look, I have this listing agent. You can go ahead and contact them and see if it's possible. I have this other listing agent. Go ahead and contact them. So it got to the point that I was in a contract, and we were going against 20 other people. Be like, I like your contract, and a lot of people don't know that, but a lot of the listing agents that are smart, they will look into the buyer's agent to see what is their production. And when they see that I have a lot of bigger production, they usually go with me.
You talked earlier on that kind of segue into this. You talk about you had your property investment business,
Yes.
Electrician. Then you move into real estate. So you treat it as a business, and you treated it as a business
Yeah, that's
from
correct.
day one. And you were like, I want to reinvest in myself. What does that actually look like on a practical level? If I'm a new agent, right, I've
Yeah.
got my license. What lessons do I take away from you?
You have to understand, just like I say, that not a lot of people that you think they'll back you up, they'll have your back. They won't. So then it came to that fourth transaction, and I'm like, okay, who's the fifth? And the first thing that you're gonna do is like, okay, let me call my friends, let me call my family, and a lot of they're gonna say no. So then you need to start investing. And one of the things that I did is like I hired somebody to start doing my. They came and they did a video for me, and they say, hey, if you're looking out for a house that you need to purchase in the DMV, go ahead and contact me. So I had to pay, right? I had to pay for to get the video done. Then I had to pay for that person to manage all the leads. I started paying leads on Facebook. So I had to pay somebody to manage the leads coming through, making sure that all the system was right. On top of that, you had to pay for the leads to Facebook, because that's not free. So then it got to the point that I had to invest, and I was investing close to like $5,000 every month, just so I can start growing my business. So when you told me, Walter, like how long after you went into actually becoming a full time person? So I treated it as a business, and from that point of view, I knew that I needed a source of income, a source of clients. So then I needed to invest in some place, right? So getting leads like that was a good place to start, and then it just started coming. The first month it wasn't as much, right? But then the second month, I got my first client. You know, for people that are actually looking to transaction and stuff, sometimes you hit good. You get a $8,000, a $10,000 check. So if I invested $5,000 and in a month I already got $8,000, is that a win?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I just made $3,000. So I'm not looking at the investment of me having to pay $5,000. I'm looking at I'm making $3,000. And a lot of people, like I told you, is that they treat this as a job. Oh, I just got paid. Okay, that's good. Okay, let me see who pays me again. Instead of saying, I just got paid. How can I invest this money so it can pay me again? And that's what I did, right? I started investing, getting leads in Facebook, getting leads in Instagram, getting leads in TikTok. So then these are places that where you can go and invest money, right? It's not all for free. So then you have to invest money, and if you don't have like a stable clients, you need to have a job in order for you to get that money from the job in order to keep investing the money.
Yeah, so you're making content, right? You're
Yeah,
pretty big on TikTok, Instagram. You're doing lives, you're doing normal videos, and you're paying to place ads to generate leads.
that's correct.
Kind of talk me through kind of why you picked those channels and what was the thought process there, and how do you make that in your day to day as part of you being a realtor?
Yeah, so a lot of people that see me from TikTok, they're like, oh, like they say, oh, él es un TikToker, right? It's like, oh, he does TikTok. But in reality, I do real estate, right? But I use TikTok as a tool to help out families, right? So then it got to a point that I have to give a big I guess, round of applause to the title company that I work with, which is the title company is Optima Title in Herndon. And I have to say thank you to Natalia Ramirez. So she's like, hey, Walter, look, um, I know that you're paying, you're investing, because we have this relationship where we're like family, right? So it's like, why don't you start putting stories of these people that you're helping? Because there's a lot of my clients, you know, my clients come to me because they don't want to spend a lot of money. Let me put it like that. So then you'll say, oh, they look for you for because you're the cheap. No, it's not like that. It's because a lot of my community doesn't have a lot of money to invest. So then I started putting people's stories out. I will be like, hey, I just help you purchase a house, right? Do you mind if you just tell your story? And it's just like this, like the conversation that we're having, where nothing is planned. All of this is not planned. I don't know the question that you're asking me. So I would just be like, can you do this your story? And be like, okay, what you want me to say? No, I just want you to put your story. I'm not gonna ask you a question. I'm not gonna say anything. All I'm gonna say is like, just like you introduced me. Hey, this person, I just help out purchase a house. Tell your story. And a lot of people wanna be heard because there's people that have been here for years and nobody has given them that opportunity to be able to purchase the house. I was able to help families out purchase like houses of like more than $500,000 for $19, $19.03. And let me tell you a little bit about that story.
I was about to say, how is that possible?
You will say, how is that possible, right? Just like I was telling you before I got started, um, and I'll tell you about my story. Whenever I talk about my stories of the people that I help out, their stories. I don't take somebody else's story. No, those are the stories that are mine and from the people that I have helped out. When I first bought my first home, guess how much money I put out of my pocket?
And $19.13.
I put $0. Nothing at all. I even walked out from the table with a $25,000 check.
You walked out with a check.
Yes. Of course, it cannot be paid to my name. It needed to be paid to a company, right? A company that fixed my house. So I put zero money down because my father-in-law was able to help me out. So guess what? I do the same system that I already proved by myself because I have done it and I have done it to somebody else. So then I help families out that, let's say a house needs to be in a livable condition in order to the loan to be approved. But you can ask for like, hey, can you pay this check for this person to do the work? And they'll do it. There's a lot of people that actually want to sell their house and they know that they need to do that. So then that's the way that I worked, right? And so I didn't come out of my pocket. So in this case, I'm like, okay, let me help out this lady. What has happened is that it's not that she didn't have the money, but there was a family emergency that she needed to spend all the money because somebody passed away. And then she's like, Walter, but I still want to complete my dream, but I don't have any more money. I said, you know what? Let me try to help you how somebody helped me, right? So then I started doing the preparing everything. I sent out the contract. They looked at me like, are you really asking for all of this? Because I needed, usually when somebody asks for a closing cost help from the seller, they only ask for like 3%. I think that time we asked for 6% because that client needed all the money in order to cover the down payment, in order to cover the closing costs. So, and I'm like, yes, and I explained that story that had happened to my client. Say less, we'll do it, 6%. So you would be like, how is somebody willing to give for $500,000 house 6%? It will be how much? $60,000? If I'm not right.
Public math is always the worst one.
Yeah. So then whatever it is, so then it was a lot of money that they gave out, and the only reason my client had to pay $19.03 was because there was $2,000 that was overused. So that means that we had to give it back to the seller. And if I'm helping a buyer, I'm not doing that. So then in this case, we purchased a home warranty for the house. And because we were able to purchase a home warranty for like a couple years, she needed to come out of the pocket with $19.03.
You seem like a problem solver.
Yeah. So you have to be. When you're doing transactions, it's not always gonna be like, okay, we go like this. No, it's always gonna be like we going up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We got you pre-approved. Let's go up. Oh, the contract that we sent got rejected. We going down. It's like it's up and down. It's always gonna be those up and down. Appraisal come lower. What we gonna do? Oh, inspection is bad. What we gonna do? Oh, we gotta start all over again. It's always a roller coaster whenever you're helping a family, and a lot of the times you're gonna have to deal with a lot of family. A lot of families that everybody gonna have their own how would you say, their own personality. So if you're gonna get into this business, you have to understand that it's a business. So don't take anything personal. Don't get mad if somebody yells at you and be like, no, I just wasted my money. And no, the contract didn't get accepted. Don't get mad. It's just business. You just got a angry client. Okay, so then you have to be able to understand how to be able to deal with those situations.
What would you say to someone that's maybe watching this, right? And they're thinking about getting into real estate, but they haven't pulled the trigger and signed up for real estate school? What advice would you give them?
What are you waiting for? That's my question is like, what are you waiting for? Because there's a lot of money to be made, but more importantly, there's a lot of families to be helped out. And all you gotta do is just get started. Like you say, you guys are able to provide a lot of like online classes and a lot of in-person classes. So then you just gotta look for, like, you don't really have to be a sponsor in order to get your license, but there's a lot of even brokers out there that will sponsor you. They'll pay for your classes, right? They will teach you how to become an agent because you have to learn. But let me tell you this: about the it's not about the years that you've been doing real estate. It's about the amount of transactions that you have done in the years that you have been doing real estate. Because I'll tell you, there's real estate agents that have been doing this for 20, 25 years, and you can probably count with your hands how many deals they have done in all these years, but there's a lot of people that actually look at this as a business, and more importantly, it's not looking at it as a business, but it's more importantly looking at a way for you to change somebody else's lives, for you to impact somebody's, for you to make their dream into a reality, instead of them wasting their money and throwing it all the way to renting. Instead of them doing that, they can look into your success, into your clients, and say, hey, if somebody else did it, why can't I do it, right? So I can tell you one thing. I was an electrician, so working more than 12 hours a day, 8 days, it was 7 days, I would say 8 days because, it felt like it, right? But 12 hours every single day, Sunday to Sunday, and I still did it. So, and I will say, you time is not an excuse. If you say no, I don't have enough time. No, if it's something that you want to do, you make time for it. Okay, and something else, you will say, oh no, but I don't have money. But if there's company that will sponsor you to get it, you don't need the money, right? So then, oh, it's because I don't have clients. I didn't have any clients, right? So it's like, what can you do? So all the excuses, little excuses that you can put, all of those have a solution to it. You just gotta be what's it called? You just have to have courage enough. Like you just have to say, let's do it, right? Yeah. I'm ready.
You said earlier on, you said a couple of times, right? Helping people achieve their dreams. What's your dream? What does the next 12 months, what's the future for you looking like?
So last year I was able to help out more than 60 families, right? Not counting the ones that I had to give out as a referral. My dream is to be able to get more licenses in different states, because I have a lot of people that have different. They're from different state, and they're like, they see me on a live, they see me on TikTok, and they're like, Walter, I wish you could help me out in this state. Walter, I wish you can help me out in this other state. I can still do it, but I want to be I want to be able to say, hey, I have a family that's closing in Texas. Okay, let me fly over there, and then I'm not giving that client away. That's on my license, right? I can hire somebody like, let's say, a showing agent that's licensed in Texas and go show the house, but I want to be part of that whole transaction in a bigger way. So as of right now, I help out more than 60 families. This year, I think my numbers are around close to like 40 to 50 right now. I don't look at the numbers. I'm not a guy that I focus on the numbers. I focus more in like how many families can I help out to build their dream. So my goal will be like, how can I make that bigger? I started already, like you can see my assistant in here, Danny. Danny, thank you for everything that you do. Alma Vasquez is my other assistant. I have a showing agent as well, Jeffrey Vasquez. So then all of that, how can you do it? You have to treat this as a business and start escalating. And that's what I want to do.
So you're in year 2
Yes.
of having your license, and you've got 3 or 4 people working with you to make this happen.
Yeah, working with me at the same time working for me, because the money has to come from somebody, right? In this case,
That's a pretty big investment.
and you have to. You have to invest, and that's what I say. You have to invest in this business if you want to go big. It's not just, okay, let me start doing TikTok. Okay, let me start doing this. No. Every single money that you get, you have to put it back into the investment. So you were asking me, what do I expect? I expect to be able to help out not 60 family, not 100 family. I want to have a system where I'm able to help out 100 families a year, because um, we don't know this, but people that look at the numbers, they know the United States is turning little by little into like a rent. It's more like people gonna be renting more houses that they're gonna be purchasing houses. So as of right now, I think the ratios, they're like 60% people own their house, 40% rent their house. Soon, like they say, by 2030, it's gonna be 50-50, and after that, it's gonna change, and it's gonna be a lot of people renting more than buying. And the reason is, why is that? Even right nowadays, it's cheaper to rent than to own a house. but it's made that way. It's made for you to be renting and to keep going in that wheel of spending your money and throwing it away every single time. So I want to be part of that people that break that wheel and start, helping families to start, to at least delay the numbers so that instead of being 2030, it could be like maybe 2031 because Walter was part of that year that stopped it from becoming 2030.
That's pretty big ambition.
Yeah.
Will this be you as your own broker? Are you going to start to build a bigger team out?
So that I get a lot of people that contact me and say, "Hey, Walter, I want you to how would you say that to teach me. I want you to mentor me," and I do. And and I'm the type of guy that I don't charge for stuff like that. And even when people come and say, "Hey, Walter, I want to just check my credit," I don't charge for it. A lot of people would charge for checking credit. A lot of people would charge to doing an appointment. We don't charge to do appointments and stuff like that. And usually, every single week, I'm meeting with maybe like close to 100 people every single week. 100 people. We have meetings Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday every day of the week. Sometimes Saturday I'm in the office in Silver Spring office. Silver Spring is like 20 minutes from here. That's in Maryland. So sometimes I'm in the office from like 8 a.m. to like 9 p.m. It's client after client after client after clients. So and I help. I gotta thanks a lot to my assistants because they're able to be there for me. Who's gonna do the copies? Who's gonna sit with the clients? Who's gonna walk them to it? So like you say, it is a big investment, but every big investment you gotta treat it as what's my return of that investment, and the return of the investment that I make every single month is way bigger than what I'm investing. So of course I'm happy to do it, and I look into to maybe future, helping my father-in-law to grow their brokerage bigger, as getting more clients, getting more agents to actually be licensed with us to learn all of this, but also like I'm a type of person that I like to select the people that I work with. I'm not just gonna give this knowledge to somebody that's gonna go and take advantage of the people. Because at the end of the day, if I'm teaching you, right, they'll be like, okay, who taught you? Oh, Walter taught me. Did Walter taught you to be like this greedy? No, I'm not like that. So then the person that I be teaching, I have to select those people because I want them to be more like an extension of me. Of course, do your own thing, but at least do the stuff that I taught you. Treat the people right. Don't treat them as a transaction. Treat them more as a family, as a relationship that you want to build.
Wow, Walter, I think you've got big things coming in your future. I appreciate you sitting down and chatting to us today. If someone is interested in keeping in touch with you, how can they follow you on social media?
So they can go and follow me in I have Facebook, I have Instagram, I have TikTok. So I'm Walter Johnson. So you can type Walter Johnson DMB, and then a lot of my videos will come up, and then so that's how you can go.
Cool, and we'll have it linked in the show notes as well. Walter, I think that's the pod. Thank you very much, mate. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it for your help.
Thanks for tuning in to Unlocking Real Estate, My First Commission. We hope today's stories and insights inspired you to take that next step in your real estate journey. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode, or head over to our channel to see some of the other content we've produced. We'd also love to hear from you. Drop a comment below with your biggest takeaway or a question for our next guest. If you have a recommendation for someone we should interview, please send a note to unlockingrealestate@colibrirealestate.com.